So today is the highly anticipated No Kings protest. The Democrats and the media have been promoting and hyping this up all week. Now the day is finally here, and talk about a complete humiliation. Smaller than expected crowds and just so low energy all around. Now, there are 2,700 protests around the country, and in protest after protest, we're seeing the exact same thing. Just take a look at what happened in Washington, D.C., where George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's ex-husband, attempted to lead the crowd in a chant. Total embarrassment here.
Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, hey. Okay, that's it. How many kids? Use these?
I mean, I can't imagine just the humiliation and that cringy internal feeling if you're trying to lead a chant and no one else joins in. And like I said, this was in Washington, D.C. This was at the National Mall. And if you take a look, it was just a very small crowd earlier this morning. Now, this is so much smaller than what we saw in 2016. With the Women's March, it's also obviously a lot smaller than the Tea Party marches. I mean, just a complete failure, I think, all around. Even the Wall Street protest, right? What was it called? Occupy Wall Street. It had much higher energy, much higher enthusiasm. And what's really interesting about these protests, the No Kings protest, is the demographics of the crowd. So this is the on-the-ground camera footage from NBC News. So this is mainstream media, and they're going to choose the best angle, the best footage that they have to promote to their viewers. Just take a look. See if you noticed what I noticed. Keep in mind they posted this on TikTok.
Justice! When do we want it? Now! No Kings! USA where freedom reigns! No crowns! No Kings!
I don't know about you, but to me, that screams old, white, and retired. Now, look, I have nothing against elderly people. I've said on this channel many times before, I have the utmost respect for our elders, and I believe we should take care of them and look after them. But the only reason I bring that up is because, the left says that the right is racist, Donald Trump is racist, and they claim that they have the energy of young voters and minorities, this and that. They play the identity card all the time. Yet you look at the primary participants in today's rallies, not just there, but I'm going to go through example after example, and you see the exact same thing here. It's like, what's going on? Did you guys empty out the nursing homes? Is this the 60s hippies reunion party? What is going on here? Take a look. Same thing in Florida. Now, in case you missed what that lady said there, she said, if they can deport young children, they can do something about these young boys. And I believe what she's referring to is that text message chat that's leaked out. And of course, there is no defending what they said in that private chat. I think if you are upset with what Jay Jones texted, you should be upset about this. Now, of course, there is a very big difference since Jay Jones was advocating and cheering on murder. Well, in Virginia, Winsome Earl Sears was asked about this, and I thought her response was brilliant. She wrote, easy, they must absolutely step down. Now it's your turn, Abigail. So Winsome Earl Sears, I think she, not only has taken the high ground, but she has every right to stand on that, high horse and challenge Abigail to do the same. Now, what's really interesting here is the view of the No Kings protest in Boston. MSNBC seemed to have a much larger crowd than what CNN was airing. Let's dissect this.
Today, there are clearly more of us than there are of those who want an autocracy or a dictatorship. And so the message is pretty clear that we the people own this country, and that we are going to respect the rule of law, and we are going to stand up, and we are going to protect our democracy. What we've seen in Chicago over the last few months, or few weeks, of the Trump administration's blitz, is that the rule of law is holding strong. Last week was a really bad week.
So you'll notice here again, this is CNN. Just take a look at the primary colors here. Obviously, the ground is green. Breaking news, I know. But it looks like most people in the crowd are wearing black, right? Darker colors here, and you can really see the ground beneath them. So, it's a large crowd, but it's not massive. It's nothing mind-blowing, nothing where you would go, whoa, history is happening right before our eyes, right? I mean, President Trump regularly drew much larger crowds at his rallies, and those were regular occurrences. Compare that to this, which, like I said at the beginning of the video, the media and the Democrats have been hyping up this party, this No Kings March, all week. This has been like a culmination, and this is all you can get. So I'm just going to fast forward here again. The time here, CNN, 12:10 p.m. So let's take a look. Again, that happened in Boston. Let's take a look at what it looked like on MSNBC around the same time.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that. We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC. Wow. All right, coming up.
Now, I know crowd size can change quite a bit in just, 20 minutes. I don't think it can change that rapidly, especially when people had to, I believe there was an opening section where they were getting security, and then it doesn't look like the entire perimeter was secured because it looked like other people could be coming in from around the park. But it looks a lot larger, and it looks like the crowd here is wearing white, and I actually believe that this is intentional deception. Now, I am not claiming that this is AI. I'm not even claiming that they computer manipulated the crowd. But if you know anything about photography, look, I'm not a photo expert. I'm usually on the other side of the camera as an actor. But I do know something about exposure. And when I know you have lower exposure, so here on the CNN clip with that lower exposure, it means that, they're going to look darker. But what that also means is that because of that, you're going to have greater contrast with the ground, right? And so if they're in dark clothes, it really emphasizes the space between people. So in that CNN clip, you'll notice, it is not packed in shoulder to shoulder. There's quite a bit of space. There are a few areas where you see large pockets of grass in between the protesters here. Compare that to MSNBC, where everyone is in white. And I believe that this was intentional, so they likely had higher exposure. And what that means is the camera lets in more light. And as it lets in more light, the colors change a little bit, and the reflections of what people are wearing change. And what happens is it's sort of this optical illusion, because since people are wearing more white, they don't distinguish or stand out from the ground as they do when they're in black. So it's harder to see where the ground is. But if you look closely, you can actually still see the spaces and the gaps where the grass is showing through. And so part of me, I can't help but wonder, was that intentional by MSNBC? Hey, let's put on the exposure. Maybe they're using a longer focal length lens to, smush the image so there's not as much contrast, and that way it looks like a larger crowd than it really is. Now, going back to this MSNBC clip, let's pay attention to what program this is on.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President.
So it actually showed there on the bottom for a little bit, but this was on Velshi, Velshi, and the only reason I bring that up is because if they really were proud of this march, if they were proud with the turnout, would he have said this?
The campaign to smear this movement is already underway. Top Republican leaders like Speaker Mike Johnson are calling today's protests a, quote, hate America rally. They've been baselessly calling participants pro-Hamas, tying them to Antifa, which is not an actual organization. It's a leaderless and decentralized movement. But last month, Donald Trump signed something called National Security Presidential Memo Number 7, targeting Antifa as a terrorist organization. So the use of this term in describing people who are merely protesting his policies is not an accident. He's using the label to threaten the right of the people to peaceably assemble. But much like the other First Amendment rights, it's under attack by this administration, underscoring the importance and necessity of today's protests. It is not too late to turn this TV off right now and go out and add your voice to the protests.
It is not too late to turn off your TV, get outside, join these protests. If these protests really were historic, and if they were the scale that, let's say, the Women's March was, or the Tea Party was, I guarantee he would not have said that. I have a feeling that the media and the Democrat Party and everyone who's been promoting and hyping this up, they're probably disappointed with the turnout figures, and I think that's why he issued a call to action there. Hey, get out. Like, let's boost these numbers up. You really feel that. And he's saying, oh, this is us fighting back against Trump's authoritarianism and his power grab. If that's the case, first of all, the fact that we are even allowed to have a No Kings protest, I mean, proves we don't have a king, proves that you still have a First Amendment right, proves that you can still peaceably protest and gather and let your voices be heard. But on top of that, if Trump really was cracking down on all of this, do you think that he would allow people, like, let's say he really was a king, he really was an authoritarian. Just take a look at one of these perverse chants. I think it's really, it just really shows you the state of what they're protesting, because it's not as if, I'll play this clip and then reevaluate on the other side.
Danger, danger, there's a pedo in the White House! Danger, danger, there's a pedo in the White House! Release the Epstein file! Pedo in the White House! Danger, danger, there's a pedo in the White House! Danger, danger, there's a pedo in the White House! Danger, danger, there's a pedo in the White House!
So obviously they are just going for gutter politics there. They're not chanting about free speech. They're not chanting about lower taxes. They're not chanting about healthcare or even the Middle East. Not as if, any of those chants would be better. But it just proves here that this is all personal attack. This is all just because they hate Trump. Trump derangement syndrome. Like, it isn't about policy. It's just, and I guess the point I'm making here is, if it really was as dangerous as they're claiming, I doubt they would have the courage or the guts to be chanting that out loud on a speakerphone and with cameras rolling. Well, it appears the largest turnout was in New York City, and people on the left, of course, are celebrating, and they're using the images from New York City to prove that this was a huge success. But there is a big catch, a big caveat to all of that. But before we get there, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. They are William Kaufman, Kat Dean, and Gabriel Knight. These are people who give super thanks and tips to the channel. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here and that you enjoy. So this aerial footage from the local Fox affiliate in New York City makes it look like it's this massive turnout. It goes for blocks and blocks and blocks. And look, there is no denying that this is a large crowd. But when you consider that New York City itself has a population of around 8.4 million people, when you consider that the larger metropolitan area has, I believe it's 19 million people, and then the statistical area is 21 to 22 million people. I mean, come on, you could draw a crowd of this size any day of the week, just organize a protest. So it really isn't as impressive as people are claiming that it is. Like, again, if you have that many people in any given area, you're going to be able to find the crazies. And again, if we take a look at the footage from the ground, exactly what it was in all the other ones: old, white, and retired.
Are we gonna let them know? Are we gonna let them know?
And again, I don't say that to belittle anyone who is old, white, and retired. Like I said, I really believe we should be looking after our elders and our seniors and protect them. But at the same time, if you're going to claim that your movement is one that is diverse and one that is young and one that is high energy, and this is who you're pulling to your crowds, well, I think you have a lot more to be desired. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think about the protests so far? Are you happy? Is this what you expected? Are you a little disappointed? Personally, I'm a little disappointed so far. I was hoping for more, just more fun clips, but I guess the George Conway clip and the crazy chants are funny enough, but I was sort of hoping for meltdowns, sort of like what we saw in 2017, like that lady on her knees screaming "no" at the sky, you know what I mean? Just like those memeable moments. it's happening in real time, so who knows? We may get footage like that later in the day. But let me know what you think. Like, is this what you expected? Or were you hoping, like I was, for more meltdowns? Maybe we'll get them. We'll see. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Obviously, I am still traveling. I won't be back home and reunited with the fur babies until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I am traveling and filming for a commercial project, so have been and will be on set for a few more days. But it's been a good time, and I appreciate everyone, dealing with the temporary moving backgrounds. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.